Certainly thank you, Mike and Bill, for putting this together. I think it's important that we come out here and do a couple of things. First of all, we need to set the record straight. The governor is not being honest with Pennsylvanians if he only talks about a drilling tax. His proposal involves a whole lot more than just a drilling tax. As you heard, it involves increased income taxes, increased sales taxes, increased bank taxes, increased tobacco taxes, along with that drilling tax. As a matter of fact, the Independent Fiscal Office found that every income group in Pennsylvania would pay more under the governor's proposal. Let me say that again. Every income group in Pennsylvania would pay more under the governor's proposal with all these taxes that he's proposed. That's probably why it failed 193 to 0 when it was put up for a vote. Unanimously, his budget proposal was rejected. Look, I know a little bit about families. I have 2 kids. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. When you start talking about added taxes on diapers, on daycare services, that gets my attention. And frankly, working families across Pennsylvania should not have to foot the bill for this governor's budget. The second reason we're here, frankly, and it's been alluded to by a couple of my colleagues, is to let the governor know if he wants, quote, government that works, then he needs to stop throwing temper tantrums at the legislature, which is all he's done. The bottom line is, again, as a father of a 3- and a 1-year-old, I know a little bit about what a temper tantrum looks like, and that's what this governor does when he doesn't get everything he wants. What happened when his tax proposal was rejected 193 to 0? When it was rejected unanimously and he didn't get everything he wants, he started mailing these, the 5 mailers that came into my district. Right? His version of a temper tantrum. As was mentioned, how do you come to an agreement with the legislature if all you're doing is attacking the legislature? If we all need to work together, then let's stop the attacks, let's stop the temper tantrums, and let's come together for the people of Pennsylvania. His second temper tantrum came after we passed a no tax increase budget that increased funding for education. The bottom line is, he went ahead and vetoed that entire budget, including the 174 line items where we either met or exceeded the governor's proposal. And there's 2 in particular in that budget that really, I think, deserve attention, and frankly, the governor ought to be ashamed about vetoing. Rape crisis centers and domestic violence programs. He proposed a 10% increase in both of those line items, and I was thrilled to see that. As many of you know, I was a prosecutor in this building for almost 10 years before coming to the State House. I know how valuable those programs are to our victims. But the bottom line is, and our budget, by the way, included a 10% increase in both of those line items. Yet he vetoed it. So you know what that means? That means right now, thanks to his veto, rape crisis centers and domestic violence programs in Pennsylvania have 0 funding, thanks to the governor. 0. I was emailing with a number of them this morning. They told me that depending on how long this goes, they'll have to lay off staff, they'll have to cut back hours. Some of them will even have to close down in the event that this impasse lasts for too long a period of time. Well, Mr. Governor, that's not government that works for those who need it most. Those who need it most need you to act like an adult. Stop throwing temper tantrums, come to the table, and let's negotiate a reasonable budget for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I'll say to you the same thing that I say to my 3-year-old when he has a temper tantrum. When you're ready to have a rational discussion, I'll be right here and we can work together to solve the problem. And the reality is, it's time for Governor Wolf to stop throwing temper tantrums and work with us so that we can have a government that works for all of Pennsylvania.